Picture one of the American engineers who signed up that year, fresh out of training, ready to help build the most advanced chip factory in the country. He expected veteran mentors, clean protocols, American shifts. Instead, reports from inside the plant describe engineers like him learning Mandarin phrases just to follow instructions on the floor, getting corrected in front of coworkers, working weekend shifts nobody warned them about. Within months, many like him were gone. This plant was funded with $40 billion of American investment, built to prove the US didn't need Asia's factories anymore. 5 years later, it's finally running. But walk the floor today, and half the engineers still aren't American. They fly in from Taiwan on rotation. Something doesn't add up here. And the answer isn't really about chips, because this isn't the only place it happened. Despite tariffs, despite trade wars, despite billions poured into new plants, America still imported over $300 billion in goods from China last year alone. So what's actually going on? It's not about the products, it's about something China spent 30 years building that no one else has figured out how to copy. Most people think they already know why. Chinese workers are cheaper. That answer made sense 20 years ago. Not anymore. In fact, one of Apple's biggest suppliers tested this exact theory. It shifted a huge chunk of iPhone assembly into India. Cheaper wages, generous incentives, everything on paper. To get the lines running, it flew in hundreds of experienced Chinese engineers to train local teams. But within about a year, hundreds of those same Chinese workers were being sent back home. The smooth handover everyone expected didn't fully happen, because it was never about the wage. Even Apple's own CEO has said the real reason the company stays in China isn't cost. It's that America struggles to fill a single room with trained tooling engineers, while China can staff entire industrial parks with them. They weren't chasing cheap. They were chasing something almost impossible to build from zero. Picture building a smartphone, not buying one, building one. A battery, a screen, cameras thinner than a coin, chips smaller than a grain of rice, hundreds of parts, hundreds of suppliers. Now imagine one of them tells you, this part needs to be redesigned. In most countries, that's a delay of weeks. Emails, shipping, waiting. In Shenzhen, that same redesign can be rebuilt and back on the line within days, sometimes hours, because every supplier sits minutes from the next. Every factory is one phone call from a fix. It isn't a city full of factories. It's one enormous self-correcting machine. Thousands of moving parts reacting to each other in real time. And that machine took more than 30 years to build. America can build new factories. It already is. In 2017, one single deal promised $10 billion and 13,000 new jobs for one American factory in one American town. Today, fewer than 300 of those jobs exist. Not because the money disappeared, because a factory is only one piece of an ecosystem. And an ecosystem can't be wired in with a check. Even when the money does show up, like that $40 billion chip plant from our opening, the same story repeats, years behind schedule. Half the workforce still flown in from the very country the plant was built to replace. You can import a machine. You can import capital. You can't import 30 years of trained relationships overnight. So go back to that American engineer who walked onto the Arizona factory floor in 2020 expecting to help build the future of US manufacturing. He wasn't wrong. The future did get built, just not by the workforce anyone had promised him. Next time you hold a phone, a laptop, a car battery, you're not just holding a product, you're holding the output of one of the most complex industrial networks ever built. Factories can be copied, machines can be bought, workers can be trained. But a living ecosystem, grown over decades, can't be packed into a shipping container and moved somewhere else. America isn't losing to Chinese factories. It's losing to the invisible machine running underneath them, because China's greatest export was never the iPhone. It was the system that makes the iPhone possible.